to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, does anybody in the audience have any questions or comments pertaining to tonight's agenda? All right, we'll move on to the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting from August 18th.
Second.
A motion second to approve the minutes from August 4th. All in favor?
Aye.
Take that. That's August. Right.
18th. Did I not change?
No, sorry.
Approve the minutes from August 18th. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, that motion will pass. Next, we'll discuss the community cats and TNR program. We have Courtney Butler here. We'll have her come up to the microphone. I know last meeting, you guys handout representing the feral cat program. Sit down and talk with Courtney a couple weeks ago. She has pretty good information. You guys have had that for a couple weeks. We'll invite her back here to go back to the program again. If you have any questions on it. I know we did budget $2,500 for 2026, and according to Courtney, we're not going to get into doing a TNR now. It's probably something that we look forward to the spring. So we'll let her go ahead and go ahead.
Well, thank you, Mayor Hartman, and nice to see all of you. Thanks for giving me a little time, and thank you for addressing this for your community. My agency primarily works right now with rural development for TNR. We get a lot of City of Butler residents that message and are interested in help, and I always tell them, first we have to make it legal, that's step one. Because otherwise, you have people doing TNR effectively in the right way, and an angry neighbor calls and says, well, it's still running at large even if it's on your property. You get hammered with battles. But if you make it legal and make the expectations clear, it legitimately just reduces cats, which is, I think, the end goal. It's a little hard to estimate with 100% accuracy without knowing intake numbers with 100% accuracy. But from what I can tell, you guys probably have about 200 animals a year that do get taken in to either Fort Wayne Animal Control, Cal, Humane, or other agencies, or that pass away. And based on your population, which is 2,200, is that correct? 27? So I estimated a little low. You probably have about 800 unknown feral cats in the community, in the city limits. Could be more, could be a little less, we're guessing. But each cat makes 100 cats in its lifetime of 2 years, which is alarming, if they're all doing that. That's where TNR comes in. And again, if done properly, it just reduces cats. It stops the destruction of property. It stops the health issues. All the cats in our program are rabies vaccinated, which is very important to me. The humans come first with this program because biting is a risk, destruction is a risk, and the quality of life for your residents is negatively impacted by this right now. So what we do in our current program for the county is we let residents borrow our traps. They catch the cats on schedule. We take the cat to Humane Fort Wayne, which is genuinely low cost. It's $50 to $60 per cat. We bring it back, they release the cat. We teach them to hopefully enclose the cat in some sort of confined space at night. Because that's also when they hunt wildlife the most, is dawn and dusk. If we can get people to give them housing and food during appropriate hours, the cats aren't roaming then. And then as we reduce the populations, you have a vacuum effect. So that's kind of the quick how-to. When I heard about the program 20 years ago when it first began, I worked for Fort Wayne Animal Control, and I thought this sounded like space magic. I was very skeptical myself, because prior to that, pulling them and euthanizing would have been the only way. Well, it doesn't work. This does, and it has decades of evidence at this point. So it is a good investment for a community. My agency is entirely volunteer, and we don't make money on this. I invest more of my own funds than I get, and that's okay with me, because we have the ability to. And I like helping my rural neighbors. How and exactly it would be the what's and hows of how it would be implemented in Butler, I don't know yet. I can help with transport. Humane Fort Wayne may even do the transport for us, since that would effectively double the volume I'm currently bringing. I have to work with them, I'm in a contract with them, but we have a lot of time. Because we would probably start this in spring, as you discussed, right? Is that the plan, if it were to happen? First step, I'd make it legal before spring, but transporting and doing the surgeries, spring would probably be ideal, because then we have time to hammer out every detail and make it work for your residents. You want it to be convenient and effective, you know? So with that, are there any questions I can answer?
I do have one question, I think it's worked on, we would have to, we pass this, enact a feral cat ordinance.
If you're gonna capture them and cart them off, yes, yeah.
Yeah, you want it to be legal because animals are personal property in Indiana, right? So if someone is allowed to track a cat, neuter it, and return it, you're dealing with someone's personal property. But there are really well-written TNR ordinance all over the state of Indiana. I think I shared Allen County's anti-cows with you guys as kind of a reference. It does usually eliminate people also harming animals, which is good, because there's laws against it. There's a deterrent. Not because, again, I do care about humans primarily first, but people who hurt animals might hurt people too. So if we can eliminate that and identify that, we have healthier, safer communities.
Gather and then either come back next meeting, pass it, or, you know, we have all 5 of you here to pass it, or
Do we need to write an ordinance?
we have to
Probably,
ordinance first.
share the ordinance, and you've already appropriated money, budgeted money for it, so, and you're talking about next spring, so that's the time that I can prepare an ordinance and get it to you.
Yeah, I will say, I hate to interrupt, it's okay, but jump in with that one. If you do get your ordinance, the sooner the better, because there are residents that are already ready to track and pay for it themselves, and they are just leery to because it is not legal. So it is truly a community cat project, it's community driven, even with a volunteer group like mine, or help with municipal funds. So the quicker you get it, the quicker you start to see that reduction in population, legally done by your residents. And I can help them, so even if you don't have the money for it yet, a lot of people are willing to pay for it. Being especially the $50 to $60 mark, a lot of people can handle that.
So at least we get the ordinance passed, and let's just say council doesn't pass it, at least we'll have an ordinance in place for people to do it on their own.
Yeah, and I can help guide them, and, because that's what I tell everyone that contacts us right now. I want to help you, I just need it to be legal to make sure we're doing this right. So if that step is done, you guys can already start to see reductions in population. Because there's a lot of them, they're making a lot more, a lot of kids.
So Don, if we ask you to work on the ordinance and have it back here for the next meeting then?
You may.
Okay, we'll do that then, we'll just table so Don gets his ordinance back to us at our September 15th meeting. Anybody else have any questions for Courtney? Then I want to take a lot of calls about feral cats, and we have a big group of them down on Ivy Lane, that area there. We have some complaints, 500 block of South Broadway, and we've taken some up over by Mason Park as well. So at least that's one I've heard of. There could be more out there, but those are the ones that are actually taking phone calls on, so.
And in your, oh, sorry, in your ordinance, if you guys are modeling off of some of the others, you named parks, and that's always such a big deal for, I think, of little children and their health, and cats are using those areas as cat boxes, and there's zoonotic diseases. If you do include in your ordinance some things, I lost what I was going to say about it, I think it was about feeding, make sure you include feeding times if possible, because the areas you're seeing heavy spots of them, I guarantee you've got someone cracking open bags of food day and night. We don't want to make feeding illegal, because that never works, but if you can give people guidance on when to feed, you will really see less of those cats crowding those public areas that are probably, the feeders probably near the public area is my point. And if you can help give them guidance on when to appropriately feed, yes. So, but not a feeding ban, times are usually really helpful.
That would be like human times, breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It really is. In DeKalb County's ordinance, we said from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. you can feed. And I believe it just says feeding on your property. I always talk to people and say, please do it somewhere enclosed. Do it in your garage, in your barn, carport, wherever if you can. We help provide people with shelters too that they can make. Again, the more this cat feels at home and stays and eats where it should, and masses, because there is the human element involved that also loves the cats, because love or hate cats, this works. But the people who are feeding and think they're doing the right thing, we can't forget them. And just giving them guidance helps, because they're at risk for illness from wildlife coming to their feeding. And then those cats that interact with the wildlife going to your park. It's not good fuel, but we can help them, and it's usually just education and a law. Sometimes then you need it. But yeah, after dusk, absolutely no open feeding. And enforcement of that is usually just education. I don't think you'll be taking anyone to jail for it. But you can help them understand why the law exists. It's truly about their health.
I do have a question. The shelter aspect of it, the people trapping are gonna keep them?
So generally the way it's phrased in the ordinance is a community cat provider, CCP, you call it provider, however your city would like to define those people, it's usually CCP. They trap the cat, it's already been on their property, they're usually already familiar with it, they either like it or they don't, but they know they want it fixed. They trap it, they borrow one of our traps, or however we end up working that out logistically, and we have them scheduled. So it is, I've been seeing this cat for 2 weeks. We say, okay, our surgery date is October 1st. On September 25th, let's start making a tracking plan. Get the kitty, and then we take it to surgery, bring it back, release it where it was found. They are microchipped as well in that low price, which is helpful because then, microchip scanners are $35. What you can do is arm your law enforcement or code enforcement with a scanner. So if someone's complaining about a cat on the street, they can scan it, it's microchipped to the block it belongs to. So they can talk to that CCP and say, this cat keeps roaming, can we make a plan? We can help them with that. But really there's no sheltering, so there's no taking it in and giving it away somewhere else. And relocation is similar to euthanasia with TNR, they backfill still. So when you're finding them and pulling them away, you just open the room up for more. It doesn't work. But if you put one back, that usually creates that vacuum effect. And if we can control the feeders with that, again, it has to be done, all the steps have to be done for this to work or it doesn't. You have lesser cats. And if someone truly doesn't want a cat, or you have a destructive, aggressive, bad situation, there are certainly times, there are exceptions where ill cats, maybe a biting risk, are pulled many times. There are times that happens. Those are not the norm, though. Most of the time, colonies are created. They're kind of islands with your people that are already feeding, and then the vacuum effect is created everywhere else.
Anybody else have any questions for Courtney?
All right, if you think of anything, you guys have my contact information, email me anytime. I'm always happy to help and answer questions. You have a wonderful community, I want to add that. You have so many residents who care about animals and each other. It's really wonderful. So I'm glad to see that, and I'm glad I can help anyway. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get on to proposed ordinances and resolutions.
Okay, so everybody has several packets in front of them, green, pink, and blue. I figured it was easier to divide them up into what type of budget we're doing. We don't have our official ordinance yet. We won't have our public hearing until next meeting or the first meeting of October, So I don't know, do you want myself or the mayor to go through each one of these? How do you want to proceed? This year's growth quotient is 4%, same as last year. I don't know. What do you think, Mike? I kind of included on the cover sheet some little tidbits about what is different.
We can hit the highlights a little bit.
Yeah.
Take it home.
Yeah, so one of the goals for, the budget for next year is to add a third full-time firefighter. That's still in debate, but we're gonna budget for it, hoping that the state approves it. We have never sealed any of our parking lots ever, and as we talked earlier, I've been here for 20 years. It's probably past time to do some of those. The apron in front of the police station needs to be rebuilt. That is severely cracked.
Yeah, you gotta remember that was fire station, so that heavy equipment going over the years. It's not getting any better. Not that it'll get tore up like this with the PD cars.
Right.
This prior life, it was beat up pretty good.
Yes, and it's becoming a trip hazard, so we wanna make sure we take care of that before we have an incident. Also, we haven't updated IT infrastructure, Braxton's favorite thing there. So he's still working on costs. We do have, I hope, plenty of money budgeted for next year to get that done. New zoning code, we've known for a while that needs to be done. We'll see how far we get on
That's been
that.
on the books.
This'll be
Since I've been here, at least.
This'll be the third year I've actually budgeted for it, I think. And I know Stuart would like a vehicle with air conditioning, so that's why I have replacing the code enforcement officer's vehicle.
Plus I rode around that here last week and it's getting close to being honest last week. That's been a hand-me-down from the wastewater.
It was, yes. Roof repairs to this building, we haven't done that. I don't think they did any work on this roof when we moved in.
No, best I can tell. That's why last year we did the brick touch point on that. That's why we're doing the painting on the front and replace the door out back. Hopefully end of the week we'll replace the concrete out back. So there really hasn't been any money put into City Hall since 2012 when we moved into here. And in 2012 it was a $1.2 million expense, I think, to do all that. You have to take care of your investment a little bit. So we haven't put any money into it for 12 years. Unfortunately, last year, this year, and possibly next year will be the time to put some money and get it back up to where it needs to be.
Yep. Okay, so now moving on to street money. We've budgeted for a community crossings grant again. We have around $400,000 for our match, so hopefully we can get that $1 million.
Which we do, we're only responsible for
20% of it, so we have extra funding there if
for
needed.
engineering as well,
Yes.
which isn't funded community crossing.
We need a new dump truck, I think. We've budgeted for that for several years. We'll see if we actually do it. Sidewalks and then sealing the street department parking lot, which is the parking lot at the corner of Depot and South Broadway. We call that one the street department parking lot. For the Park and Recreation Fund, doing some pavilion renovations, adding some more cameras to the parks that do not have any, and perhaps another large park project. And then lastly, the redevelopment commission. The mayor wants to institute a facade grant program through them. So hopefully we get that up and going next year.
We do have the money originally from Ambassador Enterprises donated $20,000. F&M Bank has agreed to donate $5,000. And Ambassador's gonna push their money through the Main Street. Yeah, so We haven't decided if Main Street may be the lead on that or redevelopment. But the redevelopment does have 20,000 in their account as well, so somebody come in there and say, and we're looking at it up to 2,500, so say, Chris, you have a building, you want a facade grant, you put 2,500 in it, redevelopment says yes, they'll give you 2,500, Main Street says yes, they'll give you 2,500, and then the bank will give 500, so you get $5,500, put towards your 2,500.
So the purpose of the green packet, these are all funds that are funded by property tax revenue for only the city of Butler. So that's not their sole source of revenue. Of course, we would never be able to do all of this. We have other sources of revenue as well. Okay, so let's move on to the pink packet, which is group 2. Yes,
And this is all just money that you guys want to spend, right?
correct.
Okay.
Yes,
On the same page.
yes, this is not how much we will get in tax revenue. No, not nearly that much.
And the property tax revenue only goes to the general fund.
No, it goes to the general fund, MVH, which is motor vehicle highway,
Gotcha.
park and recreation, and
So
redevelopment.
just this packet.
Yes, just the green packet. Okay, because we have a fire territory, we also have a separate taxing unit that is all of Wilmington Township. That is the pink packet. And it's all for the fire department.
But at 27,
Yes,
public safety income tax will go away,
yes,
along as well as the seeded, so we'll get that funding for 26, then after that, we're gonna have to figure out how to make up that funding.
yes. I'm hoping the next legislative session with the state, they kind of clean that up a little bit so that we can really figure out how we need to work with the county to get additional money, yes.
In 2027, what goes away?
The local income tax, all of it,
And seeded,
as we know it now. It's been reinvented as I think they're still calling it local income tax though,
For one more year.
for one more year.
Then I don't know what they're gonna,
Yeah,
because honestly, those two seeded, the lit tax really puts a hammer to me on that for firefighters. Definitely shortens us on the money and possibly not sustainable. Like Angela said, hopefully the legislatures get their act together and make some changes here next year to help offset some of this money that we're gonna lose.
yes. Okay, so on to the blue group, which is group 3. This is all of the other items. Now, just note that the cumulative capital development, that is also a property tax fund just for the city of Butler, but it runs independently of the green packet money. And then this packet also includes the seeded, clerk's record perpetuation, which is for the city court only, law enforcement continuing ed, which is ticket money that the police department receives, and then lastly, the public safety local option income tax, which will be going away. So please, if you have questions, reach out to one of us. There really aren't any significant changes from last year's budget. Or this year's budget.
Do you have any questions? Yeah, sure.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
I reserve my right to ask later.
Duly
We'll be
noted.
asking all the questions.
Okay, we'll move on, and then I said any questions, get with Angela or I, and we'll go back to this next meeting. All right, then department reports, over down to Braxton.
The only thing I have for council is for your tablets. Are either three of you able to, after this meet was set up? Okay, I just want to make sure, because I didn't want to run out and then people are waiting, or wait and then no one can meet. I can help you guys get that set up. There's going to be some hiccups with the issues. None that I see on your guys' right now, but since we're transferring, we don't have time to set up a MDM, a mobile device manager. So I've set up a pseudo version of that. It might come with its issues. We found one with Andy's tablets, so I need to address that. But other than that, they should be ready to go. They're all set up for you guys. Accounts, the only thing we have to do is set up your email and some other stuff on it. But that's all I have.
All right. Andy,
I have nothing for the council.
Don,
Nothing for the council?
Angela,
Nothing.
Bill, you have anything for the council?
I have nothing.
Okay. Christie,
I want to make up for last week's, I have two. First of all, the Family Dollar, has anybody shown any interest in that yet? It's terrible, and it's filling up with their parked cars from the
yeah,
people who are there.
Parents and neighbors.
yeah, the vendors are using it, they're doing, fiber right now as well. They're talking probably 3-4 months ago, just not coming off that price. He said, oh, this is my hard cost when I get out of it, but as another year rolls around, we just add it to your hard cost again, the insurance, property taxes, and mowing, so.
I was just curious on that when I drove by the other day. Also, whatever grass they use on Broadway Street is terrible.
Yes.
But they do,
I have no idea what they use, but now I have these little things in the front yard that just stick up and it's not grass. And it's brown.
when they redid that, they put sod down there, so, sod didn't have weeds on it, so it was just, probably needs to be sprayed and fertilized. Cause that was sod that was rolled down into it, I mean, that was like the golf course when it's in the springtime, so.
It did look like one. Everybody down the road is all brown in that front section.
I debated whether we should spray that next year, fertilize that to make it look good, but then I'm afraid people will have to mow it twice a week, and sometimes people don't mow it once a month,
Especially in that
so it gives us a dilemma.
house coming down.
We waited 3 days for our daughter to fulfill her promise of mowing the yard, so I do apologize for that. But we were learning a lesson.
Wasn't learned.
It was, because she mowed yesterday. That's all I had.
Okay. Okay, this is to me, so I'll also go back a little bit on, Christie said that I did get a call from Phil Koch from SURF, he's part of the restoration group. He said, I understand you have a few items or properties that need restored, he'd send me the address, and so out there, right now the address is 46721, it's around the entire city of Butler, so he's agreed to come up Thursday, we're gonna grab the Kubota, and can't drive by from the street, you can't see it, we're gonna go up and down every sidewalk in the street and point out everything that's certain touched. And so hopefully we get a good game plan on there, just to give you a heads up on that, so we'll circle back, there's a lot of really exciting on Broadway, because that should look like a golf course, and when they got done, it looked like, that cab shack was way out there and stuff like that, and it was just terrible. So we'll get that addressed, this week, and get a game plan, how it's going in the fall, be the best time you plan for us to get it done. Secondly, just more information. there's not much we can do because it's outside our city limits. But I did get a letter from IDM to where there is a property east of us on County Road 28, east of County Road 75, that has sent in a permit to IDM to have a CAFO, fine animal feeding operation. What they're asking for is to be permitted to have 82,000 layers, laying hens for eggs. 4 steers, 4 horses, and 2 goats.
I should focus on the 26th, isn't it?
Yeah, the age group out, yeah. But anyway, this is a partridge in a pear tree. Like I said, it's on our outskirts, it's out of our ETJ. So there's really not much we can do, but at least want to let you know about it. If anybody asks you on the street, you're gonna be able to know what's going on. I guess the one saving grace on that would be on the east side, so prevailing winds is gonna take it towards Edgerton. But, just give you a heads up on that. If you have any questions, you guys can always get with me. We'll try to get some things answered for you.
How far north is Trinity?
What's that?
How far north is Trinity?
Cemetery.
Yeah, the cemetery, just east of the cemetery. About halfway down the road, maybe about halfway between 75 and 79 on the north side. Okay, the only other thing I wanna show is, a couple of weeks ago, I had an individual stop in here from Texas. I was not aware of this. Thought it would be like Van Hoyt here, of course. This guy here, George Adams Wyman, he was actually the first person to take a motorcycle across the US. Started in California, rode it out to New York City, and did that in 50 days back in, what was it, 1903.
So that's a, you know,
Yeah, right there, 1903. And actually, one of the cities he passed through was Butler. So to go down here on this listing that they dropped off here, he actually spent the night in Wagoneer. Then the next day went from Milwaukee, Kendallville, Butler, Edgerton, Swanton, Holland, Maumee, and then spent the night in Perrysburg. So went from Wagoneer to Perrysburg in one day. Which back then that was a 200 cc, 1.25 horsepower motorcycle. So they got that off, I want to know if we can get that put up to recognize him somewhere in the city. So probably the best place would be with our historical marker up there at the Marshall Building. So just wanted to let you guys really see that. That was kind of neat, that stuff in there. He's going down that whole route, making sure they get the notoriety for what he did, what he done. If you want to read that afterwards, you can, but I just want to bring that up. That is all I have on my agenda. Does anybody in the audience have anything for the agenda? Now we're entertaining a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
7:34.
Second.
William McKinley also stopped in